Do you want to be great? It's not a trick question. Do you want to be great? Do you want to be remembered for having lived a good life? What we can often do is we can get caught up in our ideas about what true greatness is. Maybe it's having a lot of followers on social media. Maybe it's attaining power and authority. But when we do that, when we think like that, we're looking at things the wrong way around. Jesus was the greatest leader who ever lived. Jesus was the embodiment of true greatness. That Jesus is fully God. And that means that he is the clearest revelation to us of what God, the creator and designer of the universe, is like. Jesus was fully human. And that means that he is the example. He is the archetype of what we were made to be like. Knowing that Jesus had all power and authority, he washed his disciples' feet. God had given all things into his hands, and he used those hands to wash his disciples' feet. Now, why would he do this? Well, first we should understand that washing of feet was not an uncommon occurrence in Jesus' day. But in first century Palestine, people walked around in sandals on dirty, dusty, dung-strewn roads. And so it was customary for feet to be washed upon entering a house, and particularly before meals. And most often it was done by slaves for their masters. But at this meal, there were no slaves. There were no slaves present. It was just Jesus and the 12. I bet everyone was thinking, I don't want to do it. I don't want to put myself at the bottom of the totem pole, so I guess we'll all just eat with dirty feet. Have you ever been in a situation where you know something needs to get done, you'd really prefer not to do it? Because it's not the most pleasant job. The narrative of our culture, it says that if you are truly great, you shouldn't need to do the unpleasant things. If you're truly great, you shouldn't need to bother with the things you don't enjoy. If you're truly great, you should be free to do whatever you want, whenever you want to. But true freedom has a purpose. True greatness has a purpose. This is what the Apostle Paul says in Galatians 5. You, my brothers and sisters, were called to be free, but do not use your freedom to indulge the flesh. Rather, serve one another humbly in love. To paraphrase the late philosopher and theologian Dallas Willard, a truly great person is able to do the right thing at the right time in the right spirit. So we want to be people who are able to do the right thing in the right time and with the right spirit. Peter, he doesn't understand this at first. And so he tries to stop Jesus from serving him. Jesus knew that the biggest challenge of leadership and greatness is not competence, it's character. Not long before this, Jesus had found his disciples. They were bickering and they were squabbling about who was the greatest among them. And he said to them, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. Whoever wants to be first must be slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. The lesson they had to learn, the lesson Jesus taught in word and deed, was that in order to be great, you must serve others. You will never be a great leader until you learn to wash other people's feet. Our world is full of dirty feet. All around us, there are many dirty, nasty, messy situations that are crying out for the people of God to forget title, to forget status, and to do the right thing at the right time in the right spirit. I believe by the grace of God, we will live into the calling our Creator has set before us, to be truly great in all the ways God desires for us, to grow in maturity and love and service to one another. I believe that God is calling us to rise up, to be fearless. And when I was growing up, the sports brand Reebok, it had a slogan that said, life is not a spectator sport. And I'd say faith is not a spectator sport either. We need to acknowledge that we live after the fall, when sin makes work hard and unrewarding, when selfishness tempts us to look out for ourselves first or only. You will be tempted to not serve. You will be tempted to think that you are above certain tasks and roles. Too many people, they start to do great things and they impact others, and then they become proud. And then they forget the reason that they got into this in the first place. What I believe Kenya needs, what I believe the U.S. needs, what I believe the world needs is not just more gifted leaders, but more servant leaders. I don't just mean the people that we vote into office. I mean the people that we become. I mean the people that we are. We are blessed to be a blessing. God gives us influence and favor, not for ourselves, but to share with others. In fact, if you don't use your blessing to bless someone else, it's not a blessing. It's an idol. Jesus loved us so much that he chose to give up his life on a cross so that we might have life. And so, how then shall we respond? Everyone has an opportunity to do something. Everyone has an opportunity to take the next step. Everyone is invited to get involved, to be great. Everyone can be great. Do you want to be great? Do you want to be remembered for